I haven't paid for gasoline in over 10 months and have driven over 10,000 miles.
For every vehicle we sell, it's an additional car that we're getting off the road, which is producing CO2s.
Weaning ourselves off of oil is kind of the driving force behind Tesla. It is a high-end sports car. It's a high-end sports car that people like to drive fast.
One thing about this car is it's a true exotic. And it goes 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. And it, as I describe it, it'll make your eyes bleed. And if you give someone a ride, the first reaction they have is almost terror. They can't believe how fast and quiet it is and how smooth it is, because there's no shifting, there's basically no noise. And then they're quiet for about 4 seconds, and then they giggle like a 5-year-old.
That's great.
Okay. Wait, what's this documentary for, anyway?
I'm just making it because I'm an enthusiast. All I want, it would make me really happy if a whole bunch of people watched it and said, you know what? I like the idea of getting an electric car and powering it with the sun. That would make me very proud. My name is Mike Koenigs. I am a Tesla owner. I have car number 984. It's this very beautiful yellow Roadster Sport version 2.5. I was one of the first off the assembly line right before the IPO.
I actually waited, I think, 20 years for my electric car. Now, I only waited 8 weeks for the Tesla after I ordered it, and I did get it custom. It turned out I got it right before they went public. So it has exceeded my expectations. It's an exceptional car. It's easy to drive. I love the fact that I can plug it in every night when I get home, and it's just a joy to drive. It's as close to a legal go-kart as you can have. The price tags on these cars start at about $110,000. They go up all the way to about $160,000 fully decked out. After getting the car, I found out about something super cool. It's these. It's the white all access sticker. Okay, what's that mean? Well, it means that the fast lane is available until 2015, and you have to have an electric car to have these. Now, unlike the hybrid stickers that are only good until 2011, the yellow ones, okay, they're not opening it up anymore. So this is a huge benefit, especially if you have commuting to do, which is where this thing really is awesome. Now next, you get a federal tax credit. Now it varies in price, but it's a substantial immediate rebate that you get. And there's some other nice little benefits as well. When you pull up in this thing, you don't have to pay for valet parking. They're like, yeah, just park here up front. I mean, you get treated like a king. I don't have to pay for parking, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, so here's an example of something that was really funny. Is my wife and I were driving by Costco a couple weeks ago, and you know, we always were in the habit of stopping in there and getting gas. And she says, well, you want to stop and get gas? And she caught herself, and she looked at me, and we both smiled. And that's when we were like, this is really cool. It's like, no more gas, no more stopping at the gas station, no more thinking about it or worrying about it. It's always full, you know, and it really does change a huge part of your psychology. If you're conscious at all, the whole idea that you're walking away and not filling up again, it's an awesome, awesome feeling.
The first Roadster was made in, well, actually stop. Let's go back a little bit more to the man Tesla Motors is named after, Nikola Tesla, a brilliant Serbian electrical engineer and inventor who, while living in Austria, conceived the original design of the AC motor found in, yes, this vehicle. Tesla said the vision, like a blueprint, came to him in a sleep-deprived hallucination. It was 1882. He was considered a mad scientist, and needless to say, people had their doubts. Fast forward about 120 years. 2003, in a region in Northern California called Silicon Valley, where pioneers and visionaries come to act on ideas. Introducing Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who had a vision But people had their doubts that a high-performance, all-electric sports car could compete and give birth to a new approach to alternative fuel cars. It's here in this building in the Stanford Research Park where the designers and engineers are working to continue to revolutionize man's relationship with the electric car. More models, better technology. The Roadsters are built here too.
Kind of reminds me of the Lotus a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually, the body's designed by Lotus.
It's actually all bonded and extruded aluminum, which is a really tight fit as well. So you're almost like in a cocoon inside of the car.
The Roadster's chassis are manufactured by Lotus Cars in Hethel, England. The completed chassis, along with other parts of the car, are brought here to Menlo Park, where the cars are manufactured. The Tesla Roadsters are engineered for efficiency. The car has regenerative braking, which means the moment the foot is off the accelerator, the car is generating energy. The driving efficiency of the Roadster is 88%, almost 3 times more efficient than an internal combustion engine-powered vehicle. The 2.5 is an all-electric high-performance sports car that goes from 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds or so?
Yeah, 3.7.
0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
There are approximately 1,500 Tesla Roadsters on the streets in 31 countries around the world. Until very recently, it was the only electric car in production that could be driven on the highway. The Tesla Roadster gets an estimated 244 miles per charge.
I saw it set the record though for was it 311 miles for a charge or something?
Yeah, there's someone who actually got even further than that.
Really?
But they were, what's it called when you drive behind like a big truck?
Oh, like a drafting?
Yeah, they were drafting.
It gets all of its power from a lithium-ion battery pack, which Tesla Motors refers to as the ESS, or the Energy Storage System. The pack is made up of ion cells like the ones found in cell phones or laptops. In the Tesla Roadster, there are 6,831 of them.
And I think the most important factor is the revolution we've seen in technology and in portable technology. So the fact that we now carry in our pockets and in our briefcases the equivalent of what was a few decades ago a supercomputer, and those are all powered by lithium-ion cells, and those are now being produced in the in the millions, if not billions. And what we did is our engineers found a way to take those readily available lithium-ion cells and produce the Roadster with them, produce an electric car that was pretty much unrivaled, that could compete with the best cars in the world. You take that technology, that battery technology, that battery chemistry, and you combine it with the Tesla technology, which is the way we bring them together in our packs, keep them stable, and convert their use for an EV, and you have what we have today.
No more oil changes, no more smog checkups. All of that's been eliminated. And the maintenance on the car is actually once a year, 12,000 miles.
Anytime there's ever been any kind of a little repair or anything that pops up, they show up at my doorstep. They bring up their trailer, they make whatever changes are necessary. Other than a pair of tires that I've had to pay for, I haven't had to put a nickel in this thing. There's no oil, there's nothing to top off, to fill up. I mean, it just drives and drives and drives. And right now I've got 9,283 miles on this thing so far.
The battery pack is liquid cooled, so it always stays at room temperature. The Roadster has very little wear and tear because there are very few moving parts. One battery pack, one motor, and one gear. This creates 295 pounds of instantaneous torque.
The acceleration on the car is like nothing you've ever experienced, really. It has nothing to do with normal internal combustion engine acceleration. It's more akin to, if you think about when you flip the switch, the light switch in your room, the light doesn't rev up and then come on, it just comes on immediately. That's exactly how the acceleration in our car works. I mean, you flip the switch and it goes, and you're going 60 miles an hour almost in the blink of an eye.
The best way to kind of visualize what that's like is literally being on the roller coaster. So you've probably been to the roller coasters at Six Flags. When you get off of there, your stomach will go up, and it's the same type of experience on this car as well. It's phenomenal.
You know, I love roller coasters, and I feel like driving the Tesla Roadster is like having your own roller coaster. I mean, any road, any hill, an acceleration burst up there is like being on your own roller coaster.
Like,
Yeah,
you seriously feel like you're on a little roller coaster.
it is. Well, it's about the same acceleration.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster. It is a roller coaster.
Roller coaster.
Man, who needs roller coasters?
It's a pretty
Like, I'm a roller coaster junkie. This is
like being in a jet aircraft.
Again, without experiencing the car, once you first feel that exhilaration and the pure acceleration, it's incredible.
So you ready for 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds? Here goes. Oh, we can't run over our... We're gonna do one more. All right.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's...
I'm trying not to... I used both feet to try to brake.
Did you? Just like the Flintstones?
Oh my gosh, there's the camera. Okay.
Do you want me to shut up for this? Or
No, it's fine. It's totally fine.
Alright.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
You have so much fun in this car, don't you?
That is such a different sound.
No noise.
I know.
To speak of.
You're just hearing the tires, really.
Yep. The new guy got on. He was like, it was so weird when we accelerated because you just kind of hear the tires and you hear this little whine and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no noise. In fact, it kind of freaks out the bicyclists and pedestrians when you pull up and they hear nothing and oh, it's just this yellow thing coming right straight for you.
And whenever I have a hot date, you'll let me borrow this next time?
Oh yeah. You can program it on how it charges.
Now, if I want to, I can either set it up for storage mode, which basically is set up if I leave for a week or longer. This is standard. It normally wants to charge because really this car is all about saving its batteries. Now, if I go into range mode, basically it's going to ask me if I want to use this. All it means is that it's going to charge the batteries so they last the longest and can go the furthest distance. Performance is the exact opposite. So in other words, it's all about how can it go the fastest, so it'll actually deplete the batteries really, really quickly.
As far as charging, you really have 3 charging options. You can charge from a standard 110 outlet, which you see here. You can also do a 220 outlet or a 240, which is a standard washer dryer. And then you also have a 440, which is a high-powered wall connector. So it's really based on your driving and your needs.
All right. How long does it take to charge?
Yeah, you know, typically what I'd be looking at is, let's see, we're going to give some people a head start. So what was that last question?
Man, I don't even know.
It wipes away memories and questions too. It basically comes down to charging time.
Now, how long does it take to charge? Well, it depends how much power I used that day, but typically it'll take anywhere from a half an hour to 3 hours to top it off. I upgraded my power in the house here to a 70 amp circuit, which is capable of delivering 50 amps of power to the car. Every single morning I come out, my car is full and ready for another 200 miles worth of driving. Now, if you go out and you're gonna go crazy and take this thing from 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds like it's capable of doing, you're not gonna get nearly that kind of a range.
I kind of gave her a little unexpected acceleration, and yeah, Yvonne was giggling. She was the first one to scream. It was pretty funny. You're my last ride of the day. Used up half of my charge doing
Really? What were you doing with people? Everybody came back with the same look on their face. I was like, what?
Yeah, what was the look?
Yvonne was like, it was so funny. I was like, where the hell is he taking them?
Yeah.
The ability for everybody to drive an electric car is definitely coming. There's no doubt in our minds about that at all. Oil will run out. It just will run out, and people aren't going to start driving their cars. We think we have the best solution for that moving forward, which is the electric car.
There's little question that when you go to a gas pump, you're no longer just filling up your car, you're submitting to a sense of helplessness.
For years, I've been going to the gas station, I put in the handle, and I hate myself. You know, it was like, I hated the idea that I'm putting, you know, something that I know is bad for the environment into my car. The companies who sell it, in my opinion, are a little nefarious. You know, you've got, you know, you don't know where your money's going, and I don't like the idea of that. And what this is about is reaching out to the general populace and saying, look, anyone can make this movement, and if you think forward a little bit, if you make the movement towards energy independence, where you're also doing solar panels, I'm basically revealing every step, how much it costs, what kind of decisions you have to make, who you want to look for, what kind of relationships you can build, how easy it is, and you can literally just flip a switch, and in a matter of a few weeks, you can not only be energy independent and powering your home and powering your car and driving something that isn't attached and hitched to some sort of big business and big oil, and I want to make it really easy. So I thought, well, why don't I create a documentary, provide free information, share it, and, you know, have an open source attitude about this. And I think that, again, is, you know, from a very progressive point of view, where the world needs to move towards. It's, let's be free, let's be independent, and let's be innovators. Let's change the way we think and change the way we live. I don't want to buy gasoline. That's really what this game's all about.
So the sentiment, I think, has always been there. The sentiment, people wanted us to succeed or wanted us to be right. The doubts were huge. We have started to chip little bits and pieces of doubt off of that off of that collective doubt, and now more and more people have seen that it's not only possible, it's a reality. And they're coming on board and they're doing it. And now we've seen advances that we never thought possible with it, such as people living completely off the grid. Another way we're different from traditional car companies is our objective is not only to sell as many cars as possible. Our objective is really to change people's attitudes and change people's minds about the viability of electric cars. We've been swimming in this pool for a few years now, and we've been screaming, the water's fine, come on in, jump in. And finally, we're starting to see more traditional conservative car companies do that. So the Nissan Leaf, the Chevy Volt, to an extent, it's validation of our technology. It's validation of what we've been screaming from the mountaintops for a few years now. And to see other car companies, traditional car companies, embracing this, and obviously we have great partners such as Daimler and Toyota, who have embraced what we're trying to do and bought into it to a certain extent, literally bought into it since they're investors in our company. It's very gratifying, it's very validating to see them coming around and saying, hold on, maybe this is a viable solution.
I don't have a political feeling about this, but what I do have is I'm always for the entrepreneur and the innovator. I think that the way out of our current economic situation, our political situation, our world situation with terrorism is energy independence. I think that's an obvious, apparent thing.
According to the CIA, in 2009, the United States consumed 18,690,000 barrels of oil a day. That means in 1 year, Americans consumed 682,150,000 barrels of oil, and that's just in the U.S.
And when you're talking about politics, whether it's the left or the right, both agree that we need to get off of fossil fuels. Both sides of the aisle agree that we need to get off of our dependency on oil. They may agree for different reasons, but that's okay. There is really, in this day and age, no reason we should be so dependent on fossil fuels from, historically war-torn regions of the world, and not coincidentally, regions that aren't exactly friendly to Western democracies and the ideals of Western democracies. But in this day and age, we have technology available that can make all that a thing of the past.
As a wannabe chef, I think of olive oil, and I love cooking. When I think of crude oil, I just think of how addicted this country has become upon a substance, a commodity that we have very little control over. And it's frightening, both from a national security as well as from an economic perspective. It's frightening to see the degree of our addiction to oil.
60% of our petroleum supply comes from foreign sources. Some of our biggest suppliers around the world are Canada, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Nigeria, Colombia, Algeria, and Iraq.
Oil is big business. We all know that. It's driven and controlled by publicly traded companies that are focused more on their quarterly earnings and their shareholders than us as a customer. And proof of that is the manipulation that we see in terms of the pricing. Just pay attention to what happens during the holidays, for example. Prices just magically increase. And obviously we have a depleting supply, and I would suggest that we have sources that come from questionable areas.
There's one easy way to put it, and I've talked to people about how if the main export of the Middle East was celery, there would be a lot more peace in this world. That oil has created a tremendous amount of wars, of strife, of subjugation of people, of disarray, and largely because it's controlled by countries that are very unstable, with governments that are not necessarily friendly to their own people, let alone to others. So when you think of the amount of strife that oil has caused in this world, the amount of war that has generated, it's really a substance that should be reviled and despaired and hated, as opposed to something that is our lifeblood.
For 4.5 billion years, it's been there, radiating heat and light, sending an unhindered source of energy onto our entire planet, giving life to everything on Earth. The sun is so powerful that even with it being 93 million miles away from the Earth, it only takes sunlight 8 minutes to get here. Its potential for energy is boundless.
But I think the thing that's cool about the whole idea of electric is it's so sustainable. Like, I have solar panels on my house here, and so the nice thing about that is they generate electricity during the day and pump it into the system to provide power for, San Diego for their needs, and then I take it out at night to charge my car. So it's a very sustainable thing. Last year the system generated about 7 million watt hours of power, and I used about 9 million. So I paid for about 2 million, but the solar system generated 7. And so it basically covered all my needs for my house and for driving my electric car. Another myth is they're saying, well, it'll overload the electric system that we have. Well, the good news is you charge the cars at night. Now, all these power alert 1 and 2 things that go off where we have to cut down the air conditioning happen during the day, when you're not charging your car. So the electric car is the perfect solution for getting us off oil and not overloading our electric system at the same time.
The installation of a solar array on your roof to produce electricity is probably the best capital investment that you can make in your house. Anybody who's thinking about putting in a new bathroom or a new patio or a new bedroom, none of those investments are as effective, as cost-effective a capital investment as if you put power generators on your roof.
So what I would suggest thinking about here is if you really support the American way of life, which is innovation, freedom, and liberty, you'd take a look at powering your house, powering your car, and driving an electric car. I know now that with solar, I'm charging and powering my home and my car completely from the sun. That's a pretty good feeling. And I'm not giving some big business my money. Instead, I'm supporting local Main Street businesses.
The Chevrons, the Exxon Mobils, the Shells have been heavily investing in solar technology, in wind technology. They're trying to get in and control these emerging energy alternative industries. They're not sitting by letting their business slide away. So in many ways, the reason why it's taken so long for us to get real energy reform is because the oil companies are trying to become entrenched in and control alternative energy businesses.
Oh, I take pride in my system designs, absolutely. So when I design a system, I design it with the maximum output that they can get from it in mind. And if we have to make the cabling a little larger so that they get better performance, it's better performance year after year after year is the way I look at it. We only have to do it once and they get a better system forever. The photons, so the light particles from the sun actually strike the silicon and it knocks an electron free from where it's setting. And then the electron, along with a bunch of other ones, flows through the wire around and back into the module. The electrons flow down in the form of DC current, just like a battery, to the inverter. And then the inverter uses a circuit board to change the electricity from direct current into alternating current, like you use in your general home applications. So it works basically like a battery, but it gets its power from the light particles striking the silicon cells. And the more directly you point those cells at the sun, the more photons strike it. So if you look at if my hand were the sun and it's shining on an ingot, if it tilts away from it, now you've got a much smaller area that's actually getting illuminated versus facing it directly.
But it just so happened that the way my roof is pointed, we actually capture, you know, a full southwest sun with no, we just happen to be in an optimal area. And that's of course one of the nice things about being in San Diego is we have the sun, and you know, we'll be producing at 80% most of the year and upwards during the summer months.
It takes very minor shading to affect an array, and things that are easily overlooked would be tall skinny trees like palm trees, even telephone lines. And you'd think that little shadow from a cable going across the roof wouldn't make that big a difference, but it really does with solar. Or not having shade issues now, but 5 years from now a tree is tall enough that it blocks out a significant portion of the array. So you have to look at kind of where things are now and where they're going to be later, because solar on your roof is going to last 25 years.
The best part of being solar is the sense of independence, the sense that you know, the sun is feeding my house, it's feeding the car, I'm not buying gas, and if I had it my way, I'd go completely 100% off the grid. The reality is right now, doing a battery system for a house just isn't practical. It's not financially feasible. It just doesn't make good financial sense.
From the inverter, once we've converted it into alternating current, we send it to the meter, and it spins the meter backwards as it goes back out to the power lines, to the transformer, and then whoever around you, your neighbors that need electricity, it goes into their house.
You're increasing the value of your neighborhood. You know, you're going to make your home in a resale situation more attractive to a buyer.
Later on, when the sun sets, you'll draw the electricity from the grid that you were feeding, and it spins your meter forwards. And ideally, by the end of the day, you're back where you started, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Imagine having no bill, okay? The minimum bill I know in San Diego is $4.93. I don't know why, but if you're producing more power than they're using, you're actually pushing it back into the system and back into the grid. Technically, we're going to start getting rebate checks if our usage is lower than our consumption.
The choice I made was to overproduce a little bit so we're feeding back on the grid and get as close to a zero electric bill as humanly possible.
My out-of-pocket cost was probably somewhere around like $20-some thousand, but I get 30% of that off on my income tax. So basically my net cost for the whole system is around $18,000. All right, now here's where it gets interesting. If you figure out my normal gas bill for just driving around a car, especially now here in California, as of this time, the gas prices are almost $5 a gallon. It's insane. I figure I'm saving about between $3,200 and $3,600 per year on gasoline. Our electric bill, if you include the car and everything else, was over $300. Okay, so that's, let's say, another $3,600, which is roughly $7,000 or so per year. Basically, I get a return on my investment between the solar and my gas in less than 3 years. I'm not giving the gas company any money, and that gives me a deep level of satisfaction. Look at this. I just received our electric bill. It went down from about $300 per month to under $50, and we're only in May. Next month, and for the rest of the summer, it should be zero or maybe even negative. And that's to power the home, our home office, and the car.
You know, not as many as I would think. Given how right now you can go solar literally for free for almost no money down, I'm really surprised more people don't do it.
Over half of the power plants in the country are run by burning coal. That's making coal the biggest single air polluter in the United States. When this fossil fuel is combusted, carbon dioxide is emitted into the air.
Let's face it, if you have a sustainable green infrastructure and you provide independence for your children and your grandchildren, that's a great gift.
If half of the people in San Diego County put a solar power array on their roof, San Diego would probably never have to build another power plant again, ever.
we're very lucky. I mean, we're very lucky. We have a very close relationship with our owners. Not only, I think the owners don't only feel that they own the car, but they do feel invested in our company as well. They know that when they buy a Roadster, they're not just buying a car and walking away.
The first time I met a bunch of other Tesla owners in one place, I noticed there were a lot like me. You know, most of them were kind of geeky engineering types, definitely technically conscious, socially conscious, green-minded, independent.
It's probably one of the best purchases I made, and I can't remember exactly why I did it. It just felt like the right thing to do.
I was due for a new car, but I wanted to do something environmentally a little bit more responsible. I saw the car. It was the first zero-emission car that would be road ready. I spoke to my husband about it, and within 24 hours I had signed up online.
I know that it costs us almost nothing to charge it. I mean, I think Marietta's round trip of 20-some miles a day costs like 20 cents.
Is that gratifying?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, what was gratifying to me is when she came to me and gave me her gas card, said, here, you'll never need this again.
When we bought this car, we were remodeling a home, and the home was going to be solar. In the middle of that, my husband found this condo downtown, and so we decided to make the move. But then we ran into other challenges as far as putting in an electric charger in a condominium association. So we worked a lot here with SDG&E. Eventually, the electricians who knew the car had worked with putting in the home chargers. They came, they spent almost 2 to 3 days here, but they had to inventory every electrical outlet in our condominium. And what they did was they took the electricity off of our unit specifically, not the condominium association, and everything worked beautifully.
So I think it's kind of unfortunate that there's this myth of range anxiety, that people say, well, you know, electric cars won't take off until there's charging infrastructure all over the place.
Well, I think most of that comes from the fact that the original cars, the hybrids, had such a limited range. I mean, they were 50 miles, and if you have a 50-mile range, you're really nervous about going more than 45, because what if it's wrong? You know, because I mean, battery cars, when electricity quits, it quits.
To date, I've only run out of electricity once. So I had a meeting in Orange County, and it was in North Orange County. My business partner and I take off, and it is raining cats and dogs. I'm telling you, it is crazy outside. And I didn't do the extended charge, so I just did the standard charge in the car. Remember getting in the vehicle, and it was like 86 miles from where we started, and then coming back. And when you get in the Tesla, it gives you the range. And basically I had about 168, 170 mile range. So I looked at it and I thought, oh man, I'm gonna be within 8 or 10 miles. So we drive up there, and like I said, it is pouring, and I'm watching the meter deplete as we're driving up, and I realized we're just past the halfway mark when we got up there. And it was because of I think the enormous amount of rain resistance probably on the vehicle. So we're coming home, and the meter's going down, 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 and finally it basically says unknown range left. We've got about 14 miles left until we get home, and I am just driving like this, and I'm definitely tense, and Rocket, my business partner, sitting next to me, and he's like, hey, whatever happens, happens.
And so here we are, the Tesla's on the side of the road. Fortunately, Tesla has this great little concierge service. They're sending a driver to come pick up the car, drop it off at my house. I had my little charger cable, but there wasn't an easy place to plug it in. Here's the charging cable if I get in a pinch. If I could just get an extra 10 miles out of this, we'll be fine. Here's the charging cable if I get in a pinch. So the lesson learned is, if you're within 20 miles, don't do it. If I get in a pinch. And the other little mistake I made today, and I realized it as I was pulling away, I didn't top off the batteries.
Here's the charging cable if I get in a pinch.
Which is another little thing to give you that extra 20-mile boost or so, which would have alleviated this little problem.
So I think that's the infrastructure will come very, very quickly. It is the wave of the future. I mean, there are always naysayers when anything happens. I mean, when there's a change, it's, oh, this won't work or that won't work. You can always find a reason not to believe that something can work, but it's easier to find a reason how to make it work.
And, you know, with the car that Tesla's built, like the Tesla Roadster, you know, gets 245 miles on a charge. And the Model S is upwards of 300. So there's lots of, you know, range you've got with that. And remember that when you leave your house or you leave your work, if you have charging at your work like I do, your car is fully charged. And so how likely is it for you to drive 200 miles from your house? You know, now, yeah, when you go on a long trip, that's true, but for every day, no, probably not.
Life with Tesla represents the fact that this is a no-compromise movement, and over the next, say, 24 months, another wave of electric cars are going to be coming out that are more affordable, and also Tesla's own sedans are going to be coming out as well, which are amazing. I mean, beautifully designed. They're no compromise.
We're a for-profit company that doesn't make a profit because everything we make, we invest back into research and development for building the next generation car, for building the next Model S, and then the car after that, which will be even less expensive. And so our early customers, the people who own Roadsters right now, are the ones who are making the future generation of electric vehicles possible. The objective was never to build necessarily, the objective was never to stop at a $110,000 sports car. The objective was to use a very high-end sports car, take everything we learned from that sports car, and introduce increasingly affordable models. So the Model S is the next step in that approach. The Model S is a sedan, it's 4 doors, it fits 5 adults plus 2 kids, and it will be built from the ground up as an electric vehicle. As such, it's going to have a bunch of advantages that are going to make the combustion cars that we drive today kind of look like horse and buggy cars. Well, if you think about the construction of the Model S, the battery pack lies along the floorboard of the car. So gone are traditional engines, gas tanks, mufflers, all that's eliminated from the car. And all you have is a very, very basic and simple battery pack, motor, gearbox, and that's about it. And so everything else, everything that's above that is just kind of opportunity for passengers, opportunity for storage, and convenience, really. Also, by having the battery pack along the floorboard, the center of gravity of the car comes down, so the drivability, the handling, the maneuverability is much better than what you would have in a comparable sedan. What we're going for with the Model S is to still have a sports-oriented premium sedan that will get hopefully the best kind of 0 to 60 times in its class. So we're looking 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. The Model S will be on the same platform as an Audi 6 Series, or A6, I'm sorry, a BMW 5 Series, the Jaguars. That's what we're going for. That's the market we're going for, and we're going to show that an electric car can not only compete on that level, but actually be a superior car on a premium type of level.
With the Roadster, the battery pack takes up most of the trunk. I mean, there's room probably for a set of golf clubs and things like that, but this will be a real car. I think Tesla did the right thing in making the sports car so people can become aware of them, that electric cars aren't golf carts, aren't little nothings that are ugly, and so they've created that look, because most of the other ones still out there still look like a roller skate. I think right now I'm like number 135 for the S Series. I wanted a bigger car. It does seat, I wanted more range, it does 300 miles. And once I get it, I'll get rid of my Lexus, and that'll be it. We'll just have the 2 cars, because there are so few times I drive more than 300 miles anyway.
I'm running off the sun. This is, you know, free to drive. And yeah, it's an expensive car, and yeah, it's part of being a leader and stepping up and you know, trying to change the way things are done and looking at things not from a status quo point of view.
Well, I do think of this car as kind of this century's Model T. It's a really revolutionary car that's showing new possibilities for people that most people didn't think were possible.
What if I could start a trend that more and more people worldwide would latch onto? And you know, if you think about what this represents and means on a big scale, I mean, if we could cut ourselves off from oil and coal, for example, look, that's pretty exciting. It's a great feeling to know that you're part of a movement and part of a change of thought, you know, and switching around and maybe accelerating the status quo. Because I think that once we hit the tipping point, you're going to see rapid adoption, rapid movement, which is going to mean the prices are going to lower. And everyone benefits from that. You know, the critics would say, but this is about what can we do right now? How can we change the way things are happening? And do you sacrifice anything by going all electric and by going all solar? I say no. I think this is really the future, and I'm proud to have done what I've done, and I'm happy to give this documentary away and show folks what life with Tesla is all about, and also what life without the oil companies is all about too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the road, all right? Bye-bye.
It is a head turner.
Yeah.
I will say. Lift off. 5, 4, 3. Now I'm just tearing up. That's all it is. It's almost like I want to keep my head straight. Like I don't want to like veer the car off course.
Get a little extra G.
Does this handle pretty well when you accelerate like that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a full-on exotic.
Yeah.
And the brakes are exceptional. If I would have had to in that particular situation, we would have been just fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I wouldn't do anything to risk any lives. I mean, this thing is unimaginable in terms of its overall handling. The only thing that I noticed, like someone who's used to say a mid-engine gasoline-powered car, it's the batteries are right behind us. So it does have a different center of gravity. Yeah. But it's not. You just get used to it. Right. The whole documentary should just be reaction shots.
Definitely. You accelerating?
Yeah.
Really, the G-force action.
That's your daily commute.
Pretty much. Well, I generally don't do that.